This is Joseph Victorious, cybersecurity professional, with another video pertaining to crime investigations. In this video, I will be discussing the Tyre Nichols beating by 5 officers from the Scorpion unit. And according to ABC News, mostly fake news, but I just needed a source here for the particulars. The Scorpion unit, focused mainly on drug deals, gangs, and other such crime phenomena. So the reason I'm making this video is because I found some interesting correlations, patterns. And if you watch my Brian Kohlberger videos, you'll notice that I have a particular interest and expertise in pattern recognition, deductive skills, and use of probabilities, data analytics, and such. In my research about this case, I've made a few possible connections with a new input from my friend. Call him Dick. His name is Richard. And in the videos that I'm making, I will be discussing these insights. So I will begin by saying that analyzing the psychology of these police officers. Now, this case reminds me a lot of the movie Street Kings. In the movie Street Kings, the protagonist is a special operations cop named Tom Ludlow. Now, Tom is part of also an elite unit that investigates gangs and high crime, syndicates, similar to the Scorpion unit, except that in the Street Kings movie, it's a much smaller and more enclosed unit. But I found some correlations and parallels and patterns. For example, in the movie, it turns out that the elite unit is corrupt. It is corrupt, and the Grand Master of this, spoilers, is King's X, played by a brilliant actor whose name defaults me right now, but brilliant actor. He was recently in the Star Wars new series, Andor. Brilliant actor. And basically, this elite unit ends up being corrupt, and they've playing political games and are part of a attempt to basically participate in blackmails and extortions and things of that nature. There are also assassins. They're corrupt, and they do it for money, power, etc. Now, I found it interesting that there's a few correlations and patterns between the elite unit from Street Kings and the elite unit from Scorpions. For example, in addition to the ones that I've already aforementioned, the new patterns are that um, these police officers um, try to be clever in the ways and their methodologies. They try to hide the evidence by turning off their cameras at some point, which is when I believe that Terry received the brunt force of the trauma that ended up taking his life. They try to lie and covert or omit evidence. Um, and there's quite a few interesting notes. For example, uh, the victim was only a couple blocks away from his home. There is no evidence that he did anything out of the ordinary. So why would they not just conduct a basic routine traffic stop? Why did it take so many police officers? And why didn't they instruct him properly to get out of the vehicle instead of dragging him out? Why would they beat this man so severely from the beginning? Why were they so angry? Now, I thought about this extensively, and I've come to a few probabilities and theories. Putting aside the conspiracy to murder or assassinate, which is where I'm leading with this story. Um, Being part of a unit that deals with high stress situations such as high profile gangs and criminal syndicates uh, could put a person's psychology in a state of extra awareness, aggression, and certain emotions that come with the territory. Now, these officers, you know, perhaps were under a lot of pressure. They do have quotas to meet. They do encounter very dangerous individuals in their line of duty, especially elite units. So, as such, you know, uh, it's not out of the realm of possibility to assume that these were alpha male dogs, which means that um, they and I didn't mean the dog literally. I meant it, metaphorically. They have aggressive, very strong personalities and such. However, this was taken to an extreme. Now, I've met a few individuals like this, police officers, myself personally, unfortunately. I myself am an alpha male, so I do not take kindly to aggression. However, I have found ways to control my temperament, and I do not believe that these officers did even attempted to do so, which begs the question, why were they all so aggressive? Now, another theory I had, it's possible that they perhaps were on some type of um, alternate substance. Now, when you're trying to perform at an elite level, especially when you work, night hours and late shifts and such, you want to be on top of your game physically. It's possible they may have been taking, some kind of supplement, perhaps, some testosterone supplement. And because they train, are supposed to be in on top shape and train heavily, um, they can become extra aggressive. This is why I've avoided taking steroids in my life. Now, unfortunately, steroids are in food, like KFC chicken and stuff like that. So sometimes it's just inevitable, especially when you consume meat. But um, substances that are purchased for these reasons can alter behavior, and so these police officers perhaps were under some kind of influence by some substance. However, it does not explain why they went through such lengths to omit, lie, and cover up their misdeeds, especially when it came to, uh, again, not having really any definite proof of any wrongdoing by the victim, the way they handled the stop, the way they uh, were so aggressive and hostile from the beginning, the way they beat him relentlessly. I've complained about this myself, having experienced this unfortunately in the past, where um, let me just say that there's no need to be so aggressive like that, especially um, when it's just one man, and he didn't seem to be a very large man. He seemed to be like rather small man, um, or at least low on weight. So what were they so afraid of? From what I read, I don't believe he had a criminal record that I know of. And even so, I mean, he didn't have any weapons. What are you so afraid of? It's one man. Like, why gang up on him like that? I've complained about this plenty of times in the past. Police stations and police chiefs. The unnecessary use of aggression. There's other tactics that you can employ. They got tasers. They got uh, stun guns of different types that have different physical maneuvers they can perform. Uh, these officers seem to be, fairly strong. Again, it's unnecessary. There's no need for this kind of aggression and violence. And the fact that they turn off their cameras at some point, it's just very, very shady. Which leads me to my main theory, and and basically the point of this narrated video is that in comparison to the cops from the fictional story Street Kings, which is mostly based on real world events, these police officers may, and dare I say, again, it's a theory, so if anybody wants to comment or correct me, or in the future, if I'm wrong about this, I stand corrected. But my theory is that it is possible that these police officers were hired to commit a subtle assassination. Now, what I mean by subtle assassination, obviously, if they wanted to take out the individual and do it quickly, that would be, and stealthily, that would be a regular method of assassination. However, a subtle assassination will be something like what they did. They beat him severely, then let him go, which I believe was done intentionally, um, and then turn off the cameras and finish the job by beating him again. Now, they didn't kill him right away, but they caused enough injuries where they knew that the damage was fatal and that he would eventually pass away. That's why I say it's a subtle assassination. It is the way they handled the medical, not calling for medical attention, and all these things that had transpired. It seems very, very, very suspicious. But the question now is, who hired him and for what reasons? Was the victim somehow associated with any known gangs or criminal syndicates? Was the victim a witness to a crime that somebody wanted to cover up? Perhaps a deep dive into the victim's past may reveal some interesting data regarding what I'm hypothetically speculating in this video. So I wanted to mention these few things because I found it interesting that their behavior seemed more like something that somebody or a few individuals would do to try to eliminate someone in a subtle manner, obviously abusing their authority and their positions of power, which is a sad and unfortunate thing. I don't think this thing had anything to do with race, by the way. Obviously, they were all black individuals. This whole race card political game that the left is playing, it's sickening. They're trying to flame the flames of racism, and people need to understand that there's an agenda here regarding that. And I'll just mention this real quick because this is not a political video, but it is worth mentioning so everybody's aware. Please realize that the more that you try to accuse white people of racism, the more that you try to spin everything as if it's racial and it's somehow related to white people, the more you do that, the more white supremacists and racist people you're going to create. Because, and I believe that is an agenda, by who? Probably Deep State. I've mentioned them a few times in my comments. The shadowy powers of globalists and many others, which I do not want to mention in this video, but I'm sure you can do the research yourselves on Deep State. There are some nefarious agendas out there, and that is one of them, to ignite the flames of racism. This occurrence, I don't believe had anything to do with that. But I do believe it had to do with perhaps a hired contract hit on this individual. So I just wanted to mention that please refrain from all this racial fires, because it's only causing more hate and divide. And this is not going to help this country recover from, especially from the things that have been going on the past few years. Now, if you have any comments or suggestions, any corrections, anything you want to say, please leave it in the comments. And I hope that you found this video interesting. Again, this is Joseph Victorious, cybersecurity professional, using probabilities, data analytics, and other methods of the trade to give my insights on this sad tragedy and abuse of power. And thank you very much for your time.